Turning our attention to cricket now on the SportsMax Zone, West Indies announced that their 15-member squad on Monday for their one-day international tours of Ireland and England set for May 21 to 25 and May 29 to June 3. Only two changes have been made to the Shai Hope-led unit that played against Bangladesh back in December 2024, with Markina Minley and Jedi Blades replaced by Shamar Joseph and Matthew Ford, who are both returning from injury. Hard-hitting batsman Evan Lewis and Brandon King are expected to lead the batting charges, with teenager Joel Andrew returning to the ranks. There has also been a change to the coaching staff, with former fast bowler Ravi Rampal replacing New Zealander James Franklin as the bowling coach. Joining us to dissect the squad is international cricket commentator Nikhil Uttamchandani, who, by the way, is in Trinidad and Tobago for the ongoing CWI Breakout League. How have you been enjoying the Breakout League, Nikhil Uttamchandani, and the cricket that's on display over there?
Ricardo, I think I've enjoyed it thoroughly. It's a league that has been long overdue in the region. And I know some people will watch some of the games and will see things that probably are nowhere close to a finished product, but I think that is the purpose of this tournament. And if we can have this as a yearly tradition where you have and you're giving younger players an opportunity to showcase skills, but also I think something else to look forward to other than the Super 50 and 4-day. I think in a few years' time, this tournament can be a real breeding ground for talent in the region.
Yeah, sounds good. So talk to us about this 50-over squad now for the 6 matches, 3 against Ireland and 3 against England. What do you make of it?
I want to start by saying this is the strongest West Indies batting lineup I've seen in a long time. When you think about the fact that Roston Chase could potentially bat at 8, Moti at 9 and Matthew Ford at 10. The only thing is, when I look at this team, and obviously it's been the nucleus of the squads that were in the England and Bangladesh series, I just question the balance, and I worry about the balance, especially on the bowling side of things, because when I look at the potential starting 11, it includes maybe one of Amir Jango and Justin Graves, but it really only has the 5 specialist bowling options, and we've seen that in the past almost hurt the West Indies, and it all comes back down to not having top order batters that offer, another bowling option. You look at some of the best teams in the world, all of them actually have got batters in their top 5 who can bowl maybe 5 to 7 overs on any given day. So I think it's going to come down to more guys taking responsibility. The Romario Shepherds, the Sherfane Rutherfords, taking responsibility with both bat and ball. But I do think the batting depth is it's a breath of fresh air. When I think a few years ago to how much they relied on Shai Hope, now to see a 1 to 8 that looks solid, and I see any of those guys could chip in and get a big score on any given day, I think it's pleasing for a West Indian fan.
Yeah, it's interesting, the point that you brought up, Nikhil, about top order batsmen not offering anything with the ball, which is such a significant deviation from what used to be the case. And you think about West Indies teams of the past, 70s, 80s, and even in our time, Chris Gale, Waver Hines, Carl Hooper, all offered something with the ball, especially in the limited overs versions of the game. Can you hazard a guess as to why that is the case in the modern game in the West Indies?
Ricardo, it's something that I've been trying to wrap my head around. I've even spoken to some of these said players, and what I gather from them is that obviously they want to try and focus on their major discipline, and they've thus put the time into trying to perfect that skill. I think another big reason is you look at the top 5 of the West Indies, a lot of those guys are playing T20 cricket throughout the year and play franchise cricket throughout the year. So I think it's a matter of not having probably the time to invest in maybe a few days of bowling. But I look at someone like a Sherfane Rutherford. He bowled 13 overs last year, went at 10 runs and over. What I remember of Rutherford when he first burst on the scene in 2018, he was very capable of bowling that new ball and getting the new ball to swing. So from a West Indian perspective, it is imperative that they find a way to make sure he works on his bowling to a stage where Shai Hope can depend on him for maybe 5 to 7 overs. I'm also going to call out Romario Shepherd. He averages over 40 in one-day cricket. Last year, 8 wickets in 9 games at 40. I just think watching him in the IPL, Ricardo and Lance, this is the time for Romario Shepherd to make a jump now to an elite all-rounder. He's improved his control in the power play, but still, you look at last year in the back end in ODI cricket, he went at 13 runs and over. For me, that is too much for someone with his ability, and he needs to take more responsibility with ball in hand. in a lot of these combinations I put together for the West Indies as a starting 11, the likelihood is that he will have to bowl 10 overs. So we need, or the West Indies need rather, a bowler who can give them that 10 over spread in any given game.
Yeah, Nikhil, I want to ask you this because there are some omissions from this squad that would have to be discussed. And I would put Jason Holder's name first on that list. Is his omission an indication that the selection team is moving away from him?
Yeah, I definitely think so, Lance. I think ever since Darren Sammy's taken over, they've always been quite transparent in the media and communicative about wanting to start over and almost investing in younger players. And I look at almost similar to what's happening in the Test team. When I look at the skill set of Justin Graves, it's very similar to Jason Holder and what he would provide. Probably Holder has the edge in the bowling aspect of things, but also with the next World Cup being in 2027 and Holder's age at the moment, it probably is wise now to invest in a few younger players, and probably Justin Graves is the one that they see. And given the recent history in the Bangladesh series, he's done well. So I wouldn't be surprised if they back him all the way for the next couple of years.
Yeah, I asked the question because Jason Holder has a solid record as a West Indies cricketer, former world #1 all-rounder and a former captain as well. And I just wonder if, you know, the people in charge have had a discussion with him, given what he has given to the game and just not moving away from him without saying anything at all, or even to the public, because typically, or let me not say typically because that hasn't been the case recently, but we have had times in the past when a team is announced and there's a press conference held so that the selection panel can talk to the media about some of the decisions they made. And that doesn't happen very often anymore. And I just wonder if Jason Holder is being fairly treated.
From what I understand, I think unofficially there will be a press conference, so we'll wait for that news. But I think on Holder, again, it's tough, and they'll probably have, I'm sure there would have been some communication, and I'm sure it's on his part as well. He hasn't played the last few Super 50s. He's also getting older and wants to prolong his body, and he still has an intention to play in Test cricket because we've seen him in the 4-day format. But I definitely am looking forward to seeing how they approach the T20 series in both England and Ireland, because he's been unstoppable in T20 cricket this year. The IL T20, he was in the top 3 wicket takers. In the PSL going on now, he's got the most wickets. So I definitely think he'll be one coming back in during that T20 series.
Yeah, I know the team is loaded with pretty solid batting, so there's hardly a case to make strongly for omission of batters. But any thoughts on some of the batsmen who may have been on the fringe and not getting in? Anderson from Guyana, maybe?
Yeah, had a decent Super 50. He's had a decent run in all 3 formats. But again, I don't really see how a batter gets in. I understand they went Joel Andrew instead of Shimron Hetmyer because they're looking to develop that talent and keep having him around these setups. From the feedback I got, and I was in Sri Lanka, he grew a lot from being around the team and facing this high-quality bowling in nets and just the environment. You know, that structured practice each and every day. So I can fully buy into and understand why they've gone and kept him. And I'm sure in the Ireland series, we could have a chance of seeing Joel Andrew as well, given that the West Indies may have a few players at the IPL, etc. So, yeah, again, I can't really fault any of the batting choices. Jangu and Graves have both done well in their 50-over assignments in recent times. So I'm pretty happy with the batting side of the squad.
Yeah, fair enough, Nikhil. I just wonder, though, specific to Joel Andrew, with the A-team series against South Africa coming up and will be played around the same time as the one-day internationals and even the T20s, if it would have been better for Andrew to have that experience playing some A-team cricket where he is sure to play. And I'm not suggesting he won't play in Ireland or England, but I think it's less sure. How much consideration do you think was given to him staying and playing that A-team series against South Africa?
Yeah, it's a valid question, and I think they've been very particular in the way they've managed him. You guys will remember he was part of the Sri Lanka squad, and then for the Bangladesh series, he wasn't picked because they wanted him to play in the Super 50, where, as you said, he would be guaranteed playing time. I actually think they're using that South Africa A series as a prelude or a real preparation for the Australia series. So I think the 15 that is in those two matches will be guys that, and because the formats don't really overlap other than Justin Graves and Django, I think the guys that you see in that South Africa A series will be the guys pretty much playing in June when Australia come to the Caribbean. So maybe they thought that we want to use that specifically for the Red Ball guys. And let's take Andrew and show him what it's like for another international away tour.
Yeah, I know you have to go, but in 30 seconds, quickly, Nikhil, does that mean from your standpoint then that players like Brandon King and Shai Hope are definitely out of consideration for that test series against Australia?
No, I don't think so. I think they're very much in consideration. Yeah, I think they're. I'm not rushing in, Ricardo. I have a few minutes, so you don't need to rush unless the producer needs to go. But yeah, I think they're still in consideration. Given Brandon King and the 4-day season he had, and the talk that's been around Shai Hope returning to Test cricket.
That's interesting. By the way, Shimron Hetmyer is not in the squad. He was in the squad for the Bangladesh series initially, and then had to withdraw, if memory serves me right, because of some issue. And he did play against England previously as well. I think he played all 3 games, but only batted in one of them. I don't want to ask why he's not there, but I do want to ask you what you think this means for his West Indies future, the fact that he is not part of this squad.
I think it means that we won't be seeing Shimron Hetmyer for the foreseeable future. Now, look, exactly what happened last year could happen again, where he went to the CPL and scored 500 runs and got back into the West Indies T20 team. But I just think it's been a blend of subpar performances when you think about the one-day format. I think only 130-plus score in more than 10 games back. And also the issues that he's dealt with off the field and the constant absences, if we're being honest and real. I think that has had a part to play, especially when you have guys like Django and Graves who are scoring runs in the 50-over format. You want to develop talent like Joel Andrew. I think I can't see Shimron Hetmyer returning to a West Indies team, given the direction I'm seeing from Darren Sammy. But again, there's time before the next T20 World Cup and time before the next 50-over World Cup for Shimron Hetmyer to display his skill.
Yeah, and Ravi Rampal comes into the setup now as the bowling coach. No more James Franklin. What do you make of that decision?
So I've never worked with Ravi Rampal. Obviously, I'm not a bowler. But from what I've heard and what I understand,
or a batsman.
I'm not anything.
Okay.
He's technically sound. I know I speak to Jaden Seals a lot, and Seals works with him at TKR and speaks heavily and highly about the impact that Rampal has had on him. And I think even young Nathan Edward, who's at this tournament, has also spoken quite highly about Ravi Rampal. So I'm excited. I think it's always good to get a member of that winning World Cup brass back in to the West Indies setup. And let's see the direction it goes. Hopefully this can be a long-term move, because we've seen a lot of chopping and changing in that position when you think about Sean Tate, James Franklin, and of course now Rampal.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because when I look at it, I know that usually when we go for bowling coaches, they're usually fast bowling coaches. And I do wonder, Nikhil, if there is ever going to come a time when we have specialist spin bowling coaches and fast bowling coaches in the setup.
Yeah, I'm saying why not have both? But I remember a few years ago, I think, when Bishu was in the team, West Indies had Mushtaq Ahmed for a number of series, and a number of players spoke about his impact. Why not have a Nikita Miller with the squad? Again, I don't know if it comes down to budgets or what is the exact reason, but I would love to see both. I know the West Indies had a spin camp a few months ago in Antigua, where they got, I think, the Rashid Performance Coach Academy from England. They're set up to come to the Caribbean, so hopefully we can see more development geared towards spin.
Yeah. All right, Nikhil, well, thank you so much for spending some time with us today. All the best with the Breakout League for this evening. And, yeah, we'll chat again soon for sure. Look forward to it.
I want to also say, Ricardo, I hope I'll get to go to Not Nice at the JPL playoffs. The boy ran like a wounded dog.
Wow. Maybe you should perform.
Nah, I'll just stick to analysis.
Okay. Have a good one, Nikhil.
Yes.
Lads,
Yeah,
when you were going to see Not Nice?
I think Nikhil is getting to like Jamaica too much.
Getting?
Yes.
Getting.
Well, it wasn't so 2 years ago, so I have to say getting.
No. He's past getting, lads. He is fully entrenched in
is.
Jamaica and the Jamaican culture. And I would not be surprised if we have him here in studio quite often in the year 2025.
and he's not online to defend himself.
Oh, that's good. Perfect. All right, so much more to come on the SportsMax Zone, including a recap of the first semi-final completed in the UEFA Champions League. It's Inter Milan going through to the final. Bad news for Barcelona fans. Juan Giarangel will join us after this to break it all down. Stay with us.